Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Living Well or Trying to. I'm Janet, your host for this show. Today is a solo episode. Am I really a host if it's just me today? I'm hosting myself, I guess. Before we get started, I'm going to take a sip of hot tea, excuse me, or maybe you can tune in for the ASMR. I don't know if you can hear it, but I have a little bit of phlegm in my throat. I got a little bit sick about a week ago where it was like starting and then about a day passed and then it got better. But I've just had this like persistent kind of like phlegminess. I have a couple of friends and family who are also experiencing something similar. So if you are as well, please take care. Maybe have some hot tea. I'm drinking a lovely yerba mate here. As for the topic of today's episode, it's been a very rough week here in Los Angeles. If you are a resident here or if you just tune in on any of the news, you have probably heard about all of the issues with ICE and immigration, and it's just been a lot. And I completely recognize that I'm coming from a place of privilege in terms of my personal experience because I am not directly impacted. But as a resident of the city, as a member of the community in this city, it's just a lot, and I think back to even at the beginning of this year when we had the wildfires in LA. It's like here we are again in another experience that really reminds me of COVID times. And we've had like curfews in downtown, all these things. So once again, I totally recognize that I am experiencing this from a place of privilege, but nevertheless, it has taken a big toll on my mental and emotional health. So today I thought we could talk about, different practices for nervous system regulation because, I think if you're just existing in the world right now, it's a lot. So yes, today's episode is going to be about different nervous system regulation practices that I think anyone could find beneficial at this time. But before we get into that, I thought I could implement a couple of new segments for the show when I do these types of solo episodes. One thing I think would be fun to start out with is a messy and mindful moment. It's kind of like a play on the roses and thorns game. It's a common like icebreaker or thing a segment you'll see on shows. So I thought we would do some of that. And then also Q&A. I did put a call out on my Instagram and some people submitted questions. So if that was you, I'll be answering a couple of them at the end of the episode. I'm going to have to say that a messy moment this week was ordering the miso eggplant and mushroom poke bowl from Sweetfin. I am sorry, but it's a no for me. I am usually a tuna, salmon, or albacore poke girl, but I thought I would try one of their like veggie plant-forward items on the menu. And so I very thoughtfully selected the miso eggplant and mushroom, and it just was not good. It was not good. The sauce wasn't great, and I usually like eggplant. I could tell they were trying to kind of mimic the, I think, like eggplant dish that you get in like Chinese restaurants. At least that's kind of the flavor felt like that, but it wasn't hitting. Maybe also because I ordered the wrong base. I got the citrusy kale base because I love kale, but I think that was just like too much vegetable on vegetable. So yeah, that was my messy moment of the week. My mindful moment or mindful thing that I would love to share is the new Monica Lewinsky podcast. She has a new podcast called Reclaimed, and the most recent episode was with Brooke Shields. And they talked about just the experience of like being a woman, being in the spotlight in pop culture, the relationship with their identity as a woman, with beauty, with the concept of aging, and especially because like Brooke Shields is infamous for not having work done and really embracing her aging. So that's been my mindful moment of this episode of this week. What am I saying anymore? Okay, I'm sorry. I have to be real with you and just let you know that this is like the fourth time I've tried to start this episode. My camera keeps dying, which is my phone, because either max storage was reached or it just wasn't recording and I was talking for 15 minutes by myself. Anyway, thank you for staying with me here. Let's get into the main stuff that we're going to talk about. The nervous system regulation tips. Okay, so the first thing, I always, anytime I am feeling anxious or like I need to self-regulate, physical movement is always top of list. Top. And so I'm going to talk about some things that I've been doing to move my body recently that have been helpful. Maybe they'll be helpful for you. So I recently got OnePass, which is this kind of like subscription service. It was through my insurance. My insurance has like a partnership with OnePass and also ClassPass, and they're both similar in that you sign up and you pay like a flat fee depending on what tier you want. It's like anywhere from like $80 to $200, I think. And then based on your tier, you get access to all of these different studios. And at each studio, you get access to like 4 to 8 classes per month. So I was like, okay, really cool. Let me go try out some of these classes. I was really into Pilates at the beginning of this year, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the other Pilates classes I've taken. But I first want to talk about my experience with some more like cardio-based classes, because I haven't really been doing a lot of like HIIT or high intensity workouts just because it's not usually my thing. I'm usually more of a yoga type person, or if I am doing cardio, it's like running or more recently just like jogging and walks. But I thought I would be a little adventurous and try out some cardio classes or more high intensity. The first place that I went to check out was Rumble Boxing. I had seen this place all over Instagram and different things like that. And I was like really excited to give kickboxing a try, or this actually is boxing, not kickboxing. I have done boxing before, but a really long time ago. I, don't remember a lot of the movements and stuff. So I was kind of like excited to get back into it. And my experience is kind of like, how do I describe? Okay, what if I were to go through the pros of Rumble Boxing, and mind you, I went to the WeHo location, so maybe this is like, specific to that. But pros, Rumble Boxing, super cute branding. The vibe is cute. The vibe is like current. I love their logo. And even in the experience in the class, it's like super vibey. They have like mood lighting where it's like kind of more like you're at the club. There's good music going. They also have the class segmented so that like half the time you're at the punching bag, and then the other half of the time you go to this like, I guess it's kind of like a lifting bench, or it's a bench where there are weights, and then you also do the instructor guides you through these other like exercises, right? So those were great. The cons, maybe this was just the one class that I took, but I found the instruction really hard to follow. I couldn't really hear him half the time. Maybe this is me getting old, right? But I'm pretty sure he just actually wasn't giving very thorough instruction. He was actually like instructing pretty minimally, and mostly just kind of more like encouraging statements, like, you got this, you can do it. But I'm like, what do I got and what am I doing, right? And usually when that happens in a class, like if I'm taking a new type of, workout and I don't really know what the movements are, I look at the people around me, right? But because the lighting was also really dim, I was like, I can't see anyone, So like this whole time at some point about like 10 minutes into the class, I was like, I'm just going to punch the bag. I don't know if I'm doing it the right way. I don't know if I have the right form. I generally have worked out enough to know to not push myself too hard to like injure myself. But I was like, I don't know what, I'm just going to punch the bag. I'm just going to punch the bag in my own pace, my own way, whatever. And also like, you can tell when someone who is instructing a class, like that is not his passion. Like he is not here in life wanting to be a fitness instructor. He's probably doing this to make some money, and his real passion is like acting or some other thing in entertainment because we are in LA and it's WeHo. I could tell he was trying, but the reality was like, I can tell when someone's like saying something in an enthusiastic way and the enthusiasm is totally inauthentic and it's just them putting on their like fitness instructor voice. That was kind of the vibe. So overall, I think Rumble Boxing is just not for me. I'm probably not going to go back, but yeah, glad I tried it. The second more like high intensity workout that I tried was cycle bar. So yes, I am very much a millennial, and I remember the days of Soul Cycle when that was like really big. This kind of reminded me of that. Soul Cycle has since like closed all locations. that are near me in LA. So I'm not sure why that is, but either way, some pros about Cycle Bar. They were so positive and welcoming and personal. Like, because I had signed up for the class ahead of time, when I came into the studio, the person at the front desk was super welcoming, helped me figure out my shoes because, for cycling, you need like custom shoes. And then even when I went to the back, like they had custom written my name on one of the lockers. Like they welcome Janet, this is your first class. And then when I came out after class, there was a personal handwritten note on a Post-it that was like on the locker. So I was like, wow, this is so nice. Like they're so welcoming and just so personal. The touches were very much appreciated. And then the instructor also for Cycle Bar was maybe more my speed. She was just the right amount of like enthusiastic and encouraging and like seemed to know how to like describe how to do the moves. Although, I mean, I guess to be fair, when you're on a cycle, there's like maybe less complicated movements than if it's boxing. Although I will say the one thing about cycling that can be kind of challenging is the bike has all these dials, and I wasn't totally following along all the time because there was the top dial, and then there was the bottom dial, and then above the dial there was like a flip switch. So between all of those gear changes, I couldn't follow some of the times, and I just kept cycling. But the vibes were good. The instructor was great. The cardio, I have to say, I think I like cycling more now that I think about it. And they even had a segment at the end where there was like, they had these like bar weight things, and then so you got a little bit of like a upper body workout at the end as well. The one challenge that I confronted with Cycle Bar is it was kind of far. Like it's in Culver City. I'm based in downtown, and it's a bit of a drive, and it's not really like close to other things that I generally frequent. It was still good. And actually a pro is that parking is great in there as well, because it was in its own little plaza thing. You don't really have to pay for parking. Other forms of workouts. So earlier this year, I got really into Pilates. I was going to Natural Pilates, which is a studio that has a couple of locations in like West Hollywood, in Beverly Hills. Yeah, I kind of since fell off of going there regularly, but since I got this like one pass thing, I was like, oh, let me try some of the Pilates classes that are part of their program. So I went to Solid Core, and then I also went to Club Pilates. I heard a lot about Solid Core through Mel. I know that that's like one of her go-tos right now, and I can totally see why. Solid Core is very fun, good energy. They do the mood lighting. They have great playlists. Their instructors are super upbeat and like really happy and energized. At least I think I went to the Hollywood location that I went to. Yeah, it was great. And then also the Reformer is like a simplified version. So there's like, compared to kind of the other Pilates studios that I was going to, they had like all these like different pulleys and weights and different things like that. So Solid Core is much more like they simplified the machine for you. And the instruction is pretty clear. So it's like easy to kind of like follow along, and it's great. Club Pilates is kind of I guess it's like a little bit more old school, similar to like Natural Pilates that I was going to before. And they have like more equipment. Their teachers also tend to have like a softer energy to them. The other place that I've been going to, my tried and true hot yoga, is Yoga 6 in Culver City, which I am loving. I love hot yoga. Even if you don't do the movements and you just have an hour of sitting in that kind of sauna-like environment, it is so nice. The one kind of con I will say about Yoga 6 in Culver City is that their weights are a little bit old, and like, you know how there's like that kind of like the plasticky, not plasticky, what is it? Whatever the material is over the metal part, it's kind of coming off. So when you're in there trying to find weights to use, it can get kind of bleh. The other thing that I've been doing to move my body is at-home virtual workouts on Alo Moves. That has been a platform that I've started using during the pandemic in 2020, and I've just like always is like totally worth the annual subscription that I think is like $200 or something, but you get like unlimited access to all their classes. And the thing that I love most about Alo Moves or these kind of like online platforms is there are a lot of workouts that are like 5 to 20 minutes. And so you can like stack them, right? Like you can be like, okay, I want to do a 10-minute yoga flow, and then I'm going to stack it with a 5-minute like core focused workout. And then maybe I'll do like a 3-minute breath work thing. And I think this is something that kind of like flipped the switch for me in terms of workouts and exercising my body as I got older too, is when I was in my 20s, I think I always felt like if I didn't work out for like an hour, it wasn't worth it. And as I've gotten older, I realized like, honestly, 5 minutes makes a difference. 10 minutes makes a difference. Like it doesn't have to be the super, extensive long workout. In fact, oftentimes short workouts might be more like sustainable because you're not like overworking your body, and then you're more likely to return to it the next day or even to do another workout like in the same day. Another nervous system regulation thing for me, food. What you put into your body is so important and also can be so helpful in keeping you in a good, well-balanced state or driving you into a not great state. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, those are my jam. I have shared a lot on the show and on my Instagram my love for vegetables and plant-based foods. I'm not a vegetarian, I'm not a vegan. Been more or less practicing a pescatarian diet, which is eating seafood for the past over a decade or so. Although recently I started eating chicken again. And I was realizing that I think I was being influenced by the health and wellness industry. Like all industries, there are trends, right? A lot of the like rhetoric in the health and wellness space right now is around protein and how you need more protein. And especially for women, how women tend to be protein deficient, and especially for older women as you enter midlife, like protein is so important. And also like Gwyneth Paltrow started eating chicken again. She's like the famous like Goop woman who was so like, oh, I live off of just vibes and vegetables. I was like, oh my God, even she is like eating chicken again. What does that mean? I think I was just like maybe I was like exposing myself too much to that and feeling like, oh my God, like I need protein. I need more protein. And so I started eating chicken again. And, I don't love it. I like vegetables. I'm going to keep eating the vegetables. I will also eat chicken once in a while with friends or on occasion, but it's just not something I'm going to have regularly in my diet. I still believe fully that high fiber, plant forward is like the best diet. At least that is what works for me. And so, yes, regulate my nervous system with the plants, please. Thank you. Okay, let's talk about sleep. We all know, I hope you do, I know I do, that sleep is such a big factor in whether your nervous system is chill and measured or going haywire and all over the place. One of the things that's been helping me sleep really well recently is listening to a playlist. There is a playlist on Spotify that I have on repeat all the time, and it's called Deep Sleep Music 528 Hertz. I think because that is like the exact decibel or whatever it is that is supposed to like actually be shown to make your body physically calm and things like that. And it's all instrumental music, super nice. I just have it on my phone. I put it on, and I've actually found that it's really helpful in getting me to fall asleep and to stay asleep. The other thing that I've been doing is trying to actively not be on Instagram as much. I'm still really guilty. I'm just so bad at this. I'm sure so many people out there are as well with your phones, where it's like I go into bed and then I do like the nightly scroll. But I've noticed that when I have the self-will and discipline to put it away, I end up being able to fall asleep better. I've also been taking magnesium and ashwagandha before bed, and I find that also helps to relax you a bit. But I will say it's not something that's gonna like knock you out. So if you like struggle with like insomnia, I find that it's not quite strong enough. But for the day-to-day and supporting a more relaxing state as you go to bed, it can be helpful. The other thing is I've been trying to keep the temperature in my home at like 60 9 degrees when I go to bed, because there's research that shows that it's easier for you to fall asleep and stay asleep if your body is in like a cooler state. And I have found that to be true. So I try to set the temperature in my apartment to about like 67 to 69 when I head to bed. Also, my tried and true things for good quality sleep: eye mask and weighted blanket. My eye mask is a must. I literally have like 5 different ones just lying around in my bedroom at all times. I always have a sleep mask with me when I travel as well. It makes such a big difference for me. When I don't have a sleep mask or an eye mask, I have a really hard time like staying asleep. And it's like stuff that I don't even really notice, right? Like I don't think I'm waking up or I'm being disturbed, but the light does do that. So, and then also weighted blanket. The weighted blanket for me, I've been using for years now, and it's just, I just feel like makes such a big difference. I will sleep with like one, what do you call those? It's like not a fitted sheet, but it's the free sheet. I have that as one layer, and then I put my weighted blanket on top of that. I have actually gone so far as to bring it with me on some trips, although I wouldn't recommend. It's really heavy, and the amount of effort it takes to pack is not really worth the benefit. Like you can go a couple of nights without sleeping with the weighted blanket, right? But generally I would say that I don't know, just something about that like feels like a warm hug, you know? But it definitely does, I feel like, help me soothe my nervous system and get to sleep faster and stay asleep longer. Okay, so that wraps most of today's episode. I'm gonna get into some Q&A now. Let's see. The first question that I have here is, I'm currently on a solo international trip. What the hell am I supposed to get out of this? That is a great question. Well, from the way that you're asking it, it sounds to me like you're not really enjoying this international. Hold on, let me make this a little bit bigger. It's kind of hard for me to see. It sounds to me like you are not really enjoying this aspect of solo travel internationally by yourself. I would say it's okay to not like it. Honestly, I've done a lot of solo trips. I've done a handful of solo trips internationally. And my biggest takeaway from those trips was I would rather travel with people internationally than alone. Like I will take solo trips every once in a while, but big international trips by yourself, like it's not always that fun. I find myself oftentimes like liking the experience, but really much more preferring that I had someone else, at least one other person to share it with. So I guess if you're like, well, what am I supposed to get out of this? Generally people say it's like good for, I don't know, character building, skill development, to be able to figure out how to like plan a trip and exist as an independent person by yourself internationally while traveling. And while all of that is important, I would say like if you don't like it, like don't force yourself to do it. So it's okay if you don't get anything out of it beyond the fact that now you know maybe next time you should travel internationally with other people. Okay, another question. Another one about traveling. Tips for solo traveling and being comfortable with the unknowns, embracing change. You know, I personally am someone who likes to plan my trips with a loose hand. And what I mean by that is I generally will have like the big things booked, like where I'm staying, transportation things, but like things to do during my day, like my itinerary, I'm pretty flexible with. I generally just want to be out doing something, and I might kind of like figure it out as I get there. But when you are traveling solo, it is important to like I think about safety first. So those things like a basic place to stay and get around, I think those are more critical. And then just being a little bit flexible with the other things. Safety first, make sure that you also always have your location turned on, that you're like sharing your location with friends, that you always have an extra set of like contact information for the hotel or the Airbnb that you're staying at as well. If you're in a place, especially where you don't speak the language, having like a physical card where there's the address in that language written out is helpful. Being comfortable with the unknowns and embracing change. Oh gosh, if you have tips for me, I would love that. I still have such a hard time embracing change and being okay with the unknown because it's hard, even though I've done it so many times. I mean, this might sound woo-woo, but I honestly believe that if your mindset is set in such a way where you're focused on the fact that everything will be okay, that whatever you're experiencing at this time, if it's stressful, if it's anxiety, if it's fear, that it will eventually pass and you'll enter another state. That usually helps me like cope and deal with it. If you can get there, the next level is to be able to see the positive in the situation, to really understand that what you're experiencing right now, like there's a good to it and there's a bad to it. And since it's going to pass eventually, you won't be able to be in this experience again. So why not try to find the good in it, right? Like when you're like, oh my God, maybe I'm in a time of transition, I'm not working, or like, I don't know, I'm like single, I'm not in a relationship. That sucks, yeah, and it's hard, but also eventually you probably will get another job. Eventually you probably will get into another relationship. And when you're in that place, you're not gonna be able to have the luxury of time or freedom of other things that you have right now. So if you can, try to embrace that. But also, I totally feel you if you're going to have those moments of just feeling like this fucking sucks, because sometimes it does, and that's okay. So that ends today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. And I think I'm just going to cut it there. All right, guys. See you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Living Well or Trying to. If you don't already, please follow or subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. It means so much to me that my new episodes will just pop up in your feed. And if you like what you're hearing and seeing, please leave a rating and review. It means so much for a small content creator like myself in this world that is so saturated now to be able to have some feedback from all of you. As always, I so appreciate you. Thank you for lending me your ears, your eyes, your presence, and your attention, especially in today's world when there are so many other places that you could be giving it to. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, and I hope to catch you on another episode.